We're back. Welcome to season 5. We're on episode 2 now of Designing the Best You. And this season is going to be completely different in the essence that, let me back up here before we get started. If anything in here in this episode resonates with you, or you think that it might resonate with someone else, head to the links in the show notes to go ahead and join our community, stay connected, share all the things. Okay. So, this season, if any of you have been listening to me for a few years, you'll know I started my career off in engineering, quickly moved into operations management and process improvement for so many different industries. Okay. Then, after I took a sabbatical, I started my own career coaching and resume writing business, and later then turned it into holistic health practice. So I had two businesses going simultaneously. Now, this year in 2024, with so many things coming from both businesses, I'm going to be connecting the dots between the two, between your health and career, something people they talk about, but they haven't really done anything with because there's a lot deeper roots to some of this stuff. Okay. It's not just your mental health from COVID. It's not just you get butterflies in your stomach and you get sick and whatever it is. There's so many different aspects to it that can help you level up in your career, feel better, and live the life that you were designed to live. Okay. So, this is a massive undertaking, and there's just, as I've seen over the years, there's so many severe health issues that are plaguing society today, and they're so costly. Like, how can that not affect our jobs? How can that not affect our family life? How can that how how does that stop us from being the people that we were uniquely designed to be? Okay. So, all that being said, today's episode, I'm talking about job burnout, how to spot it, whether you have employees, how to spot it in yourself, and then how to take action on it, because we're all like, oh, we're burned out, we're tired, we're blah, right? But what does that mean? And how do we actually do something about it? Some things are going to take longer than others to do something about it. Others, it can be some quicker fixes. Um, but all of them can be sustainable. Okay. When we're feeling burned out at work, I say job burnout is it's a type of stress. Stress can be good and stress can be bad. We need stress in our life to help regulate our nervous system. Okay. But the stress that's linked to work and burnout, I say it includes physical, emotional, and mental. Emotional, mental kind of is pretty similar to me. Please feel free to message me and say, here's the exact difference. I have no problem with that. But it I listening to clients, experiencing it myself, it involves feelings of feeling useless, powerless, empty. I mean, how many out there, raise your hand if you're like, gosh, right now at my job, I feel useless, powerless. I'm empty. I just go to work, I do what I'm supposed to do, and then I'm done. And here's the thing is burnout, it's not a medical diagnosis. And I never, ever, ever diagnose anyone. Okay. I don't believe in diagnoses. And you can argue with me all you want, but I don't believe in them because there's so many different root causes. And you can't put a person with all these different environmental and physical and genetic and all these different types of experiences they've had in their life and put them into a category. I don't believe in it. Okay. There's so many aspects of it, that's what makes my my vocation now so challenging yet fulfilling because there's so many aspects of it. And that's why when I work one-on-one with people or even in group settings at companies, I'd say like you are a very specific, very special human being and you deserve my full attention versus you have this condition and this is the protocol that this condition requires, or this is the set of supplements, or this is the set of medications, or whatever it is. I don't believe in that. There is some to some extent, but each person is going to react differently, respond differently, and just have a different mindset behind all of that stuff, have different morals and values behind it too. Okay. So, off the soapbox on that, but I just want you guys to understand that there are some experts that think that there's other conditions such as like depression are behind burnout. Now, burnout can raise the risk of depression. Okay. And my job is to teach you how to spot that burnout, how to understand it, and how to work through it in all those areas of physical, emotional, mental, so that you can level up in your career. You can level up in your home, right? You don't have to be someone who has a job or a business. You can at home level up. Okay. Because there's times at home as, let's say, a stay at home parent, you're like, I feel useless and powerless and empty. My goodness, I'm burnt out at home. So this isn't just job burnout. You're like, oh my gosh, I'm checking out. I don't have a job. No. Okay. So, but there's all these different ways we can approach healing. Okay. Yes, certain personality traits can affect the risk of burnout. Certain types of traumas we had and trauma responses can affect burnout. Past work experience can make us fearful of maybe standing up and saying something. And we're like, then we get burned out because we suppress all that stuff. So many different ways. And this is why we can explain that two people who are dealing with the same job issues at the same company, maybe in the same department, one person can have burnout and the other doesn't. And you're like, why does Billy over here? I'm doing the same thing as him. He's actually doing more and he's not burned out. I don't understand. He has like 6 kids and I only have 2 at home. Like, whatever. Everyone's different because of this. Okay. So, whatever the case, okay, job burnout can affect both your physical and mental health. Okay. And so, I want to go through basically what some job burnout symptoms could be. So, I'm going to ask a list of questions. And so, if you're driving, you can either stop this and pull over, or you can come back to it and answer the questions to yourself, or you can do it in your head, but make sure you're paying attention to whatever you're doing. Um, but I really want you to pay attention and say, hey, this is serious. We need people to work. We need people to improve our economy. And we can't have people who aren't physically and mentally and emotionally well and constantly burnt out filling these positions, because then we're going to keep turning over employees, the companies are going to go down, all that type of stuff. So there's this big effect that throughout this whole season we're going to be diving into. Okay, so here's a list of some questions. Do you ever question the value of your work? Do you dread getting up in the morning and have to drag yourself to work? Maybe you have trouble getting started. You're like, I have to have 2 cups of coffee. I have to go talk to so and so. I got to do some stretches. Do you maybe feel removed from your work or the people you work with? You're kind of like, I'm going to come to my job, like I said earlier, and then go home. That's it. Or maybe you've lost patience with coworkers, managers, customers, clients. Do you lack energy to do your job well? Is it hard to focus? People are like, I have ADHD. Yeah, we'll go into another episode, but there's so many things that relate to focus. Okay. Do you feel like there's little satisfaction from what you do get done? Do you feel let down by your job? Are you doubting your skills and your abilities? We all have beautiful gifts and skills and abilities. And if you're doubting what your creator gave you, you're probably burnt out. Okay. Maybe you're using food, exercise, drugs, alcohol to feel better or to numb how you feel. Gosh, guys, there are so many people who do that and they're doing it behind closed doors. So if that one of those um, is something that you're doing to feel better, to just get through life, please, something's got to change. Maybe your sleep habits, have they changed? Are you waking up in the middle of the night? Are you, I have a Whoop and I track my sleep. And there's sometimes it's like your stress levels like boom, 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 like way up in the high level. And I'm like, what's going on? Oh, yeah, this is what I was thinking about, or this is what's going on in my life. And I'm a little stressed about it, maybe a lot of stressed. Okay. Maybe you have headaches or stomach or bowel problems or other physical complaints with no known cause. How many of you, if you've been listening to me and been following me a while, you're like, I go to the doctor, I have X, Y, and Z, and they run tests and they say, nope, No problem. And you're like, yes, I know there's a problem. Okay, this could be burnout. Okay, so if you answered yes, and there's so many other questions I could ask, but if you answered yes to any of those questions, there's a real high probability that you have job burnout. Or if you're a stay at home parent, your burnout at home. Okay, so I highly recommend speaking to a healthcare professional like myself or a mental health professional. Okay, I still to this day, I still go to a therapist every week because it's good to be able to talk some of that stuff out. Okay, and these symptoms, guys, are are typically linked, like any of those questions, if you answered yes to, are typically linked to things like depression. And God, we do not need any more of that in this world. We need more joy. We need more peace. Off my soapbox. Okay, so in regards to job burnout, there's going to be possible causes. Okay, this again, any of these lists of things that I'm going through are not exhaustive lists. These are just some of the things that I hear from my clients and I've personally experienced. And I hear from other colleagues out there, whether they're business owners or they actually work at W 2 jobs. So, one of those could be a lack of control. And I think almost all of us have felt that or feel that in our careers. Even at home, right? You're not, for example, it's you're not having a say in how you do your job, right? Such as your schedule, your assignments, your workload, and that leads to job burnout. I have a friend who, like, he's like, Vanessa, but I have to do this and I have to do this. And if I don't do this, then I've delegated all I can. You have lack of control. You've got maybe investors telling you what you have to do, not having what you need to do your work. Gosh, how many of you guys have been there? You're like, I just need X and my job will be so much like better to do. And they're like, no, can't have it. Nope, costs too much. Nope, I've done your job before and it's fine. Right. So when you have that lack of control, it shuts you down. Okay. Maybe there's a lack of clarity. Okay. So the first one is lack of control. Then you have lack of clarity about what's expected of you. Okay. If you're not sure what your boss or others want from you, you're likely not going to feel like you're doing a good job. And I would challenge you in that aspect too. And I know some of you that are listening can be introverts out there. Okay. If you have a lack of clarity, the only way you're going to get clarity is to ask for it. Okay. That is the only way. They can't read your mind. You can't read their mind. Don't say yes to something if you don't know what you need to do. Say, you know what? Yes, I would be happy to take on that project. Here, I just said yes, right? I'd be happy to take on that project, but I would like a little bit more clarity on X part of the project. I don't quite understand it. Don't act like you know it all. Okay? That's I think where a lot of these things come in. All right? Where these problems come in because then you're like, I'm not doing a good job, blah, 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 all this stuff. And then all of a sudden you're laid off. Okay. Another one is health issues maybe holding you back. Maybe you do have a condition that has been chronic for all these years and you got a new job and it's holding you back. Maybe, you just recently diagnosed with Crohn's or something and you're like, oh my gosh, I'm in the bathroom all the time. Like I can't, I'm burning out because I can't get enough done, type thing. Your body could be worn down. Okay. Mental health issues could be holding you back. Maybe you having a conflict with others. I don't know how many times I hear this. People like, I don't like so and so. I swear it's like going back to the playground some days when you're a kid. Like, I don't like this person. I don't like that person. And they're not nice to me or your siblings, right? Maybe you do actually work with an office bully, or you feel like your coworkers are against me, or your boss, maybe your boss, I've had this before, they're so involved with your work. They're like helicoptering you, right? These conflicts can add to that job stress. But again, I'm going to challenge you to speak up and say, hey, you know what? I teach this to my boys all the time. You got a bully at school? Maybe even your own kids are being bullies to each other. Like, hey, you know what? That's not nice. And I don't have to deal with that. I'm going to go tell so and so because this is not right. Maybe you think or you feel, like I said, your coworkers are against you. Maybe if you don't feel comfortable, bring HR with you or go talk to HR and say, you know what? I feel like you're against me. I feel like every comment that I make in a meeting or idea that I you have to say the opposite. And I don't feel like you're supporting me. Or your boss, right, is helicopter. You're like, hey, you know what? Do you think you maybe just could back off on this project? I think I got it. If I need your help, I would love to ask you, but I got it. Right. And I know it's hard. I mean, I don't know how many times I would be like shaking in my bones when I would have to say some of that stuff. Okay. Here's another one too. And I know many of you experienced this perhaps during COVID. Um, and maybe it's carried on today if you have a remote job or you're doing hybrid back and forth. Perhaps you have too much or too little to do. Maybe your job is just boring as heck, man. You're like, I could do this in 2 hours, but I have to sit here and move my mouse and show that I'm alive. Um, or maybe you're just so busy you can't keep up with the demands. Okay. In either one of these situations, you need a lot of energy to stay focused. And if you have other things going on in your life, it ends up leading to fatigue and job burnout. And then you're like, I need a new job. And then you're like, Vanessa, resume time. Hey, career coaching time. I've been there. People are like, I have a lack of support. So if you feel alone at work and in your personal life, you're going to feel more stress. That's why I've always just really pushed on you guys and said we need community. Like COVID knocked us all on our butts, isolated us. And now we need community. We need human touch. We need people to hug us. We need people to shake our hands. I was just at a local like protein, one of those protein smoothie shops this morning, and I was grabbing one of their protein coffees. And I ran into another lady who owns another local shop, and then another one came in that I knew from the boys' school. And just to be able to have that conversation, yeah, it took away an hour of my day, but you know what? Just to be able to have that conversation, just to be able to have that support, and we shared some of the goods and the bads that were going on in our lives, it made all the difference in my day. And I know it does with you guys too. Because some of you guys live behind the computer, some of you guys live on the phone. Some of you guys are going back and forth to schools and back and forth to work and all this type of stuff. And you're like, you come home and then you're working after the kids are down and you're so stressed out and you have that lack of support. Maybe some of you are single parents and you're doing it all on your own. Okay. So that runs into this last one of having problems with work and life balance. Okay. Maybe your work just takes up so much time that you have nothing left for family or friends. And that's not what we were designed to be. Okay. We were designed to be in community. Yes, we were created to work, but not for these 10, 12-hour days, 6, 7 days a week. That that is totally against God's design, guys. Okay. There's always going to be work to do. Okay. So we have to learn how to create this balance. Okay. So there's also some risk factors with job burnout. Okay, again, not an extensive list, but these are again the most common things I experience when working with clients. They have a heavy workload and they're working long hours. They again struggle with that life and work balance. Maybe they're working in a profession like myself, such as like healthcare, that involves so much of giving to other people that it can just wear you down. I mean, I remember I had a family member where they worked in the healthcare profession, and when they came home, they were like, I literally can't talk to anyone because all I've been doing is taking in everyone's emotional load. Okay. And again, you were recently diagnosed with something and you're struggling to manage. Maybe you have a feeling of that little or no control over work. Okay. So, to add to that, there's so many costs of job burnout. And it breaks my heart because I've been there, before I uncovered like the real root causes of the stuff, and it took a while. But you guys are fortunate you have someone like myself, and there are others out there that we've been through it and we've created programs and we've created these one-on-ones and we know what to look for that can help reduce the time that it takes for you to be on that healing journey. Okay. So doing nothing about the job burnout makes the problems worse. Okay. It gives you more health problems, gives you more mental problems, more relationship problems. And then it gets to the point where there's no amount of money that can ever save you, or you can't wait until you get to retirement. Like my father-in-law couldn't wait to get to retirement. He's like, I'm done. Like, well, that's crap because he was drained. He was upset and irritable. He like all these different things. So the costs of those burnout, you can lose out on relationships. Okay, again, we were created for community. You feel just drained. You're not able to cope, right? Your nervous system is like way up high. It's on that fight or flight all the time. And one little tiny thing, and you're like, "Ah!" Like you just can't handle it. You're irritable, right? You're unable to sleep well, right? You could be really sad. You could just not care. You end up using more alcohol. You're like, yeah, I'm just drinking my worries away. I'm just This is how I cope. This is my relaxing time. I'm having a glass of wine, whatever, other substances. You're more likely with this stress to have heart disease, high blood pressure, type 2 diabetes. Okay, all of those are reversible, by the way. You can fix those. Okay, you're also more likely to be sick. Okay, there's so many health and mental issues that are, costing you from this job burnout. So, you're like, thanks, Vanessa, for the Debbie Downer, right? But I promised you that I would give you some ways to handle the job burnout. Okay. A lot of times, and you're like, but I can't change my boss. I can't change this. I can't fix your mindset on that aspect. Okay. Yes, it involves a lot of things in the workplace you can't control. I can't change my kids, right? I can't change my house right now. I can't go live in, I don't know. I can't even think of something right now. I can't go live in Bali right now, right? I can't. Those are things you cannot control at this moment. Okay. But there are ways, and this is one of the pillars that I work on with clients in my four pillars of actually five. Um, we cope with stress. Stress is just like this, forgive me for the lack of words here, but it's this demon in our society, this the bad stress, right? So here's a couple things to get started. One of the first things I recommend is look at your options. Okay. Let's pull the emotion out. My therapist says this all the time, pull the emotion out, Vanessa. Let's look at the facts. Okay. So look at your options. If you're at the workplace, talk to your boss about the concerns. I know it's scary. You're like, ugh, I'm just going to keep silent because they don't need to know what's going on in my personal life. It's going to affect my job. They're going to look at me differently. They're going to judge me. But hey, guys, maybe you can actually work together to make some changes or solve problems. I remember being in the workplace and I had the same boss at two different companies. And we weren't really like boss and employee, we were more colleagues. But there was I mean, when I would go to him and be like, "I have this problem, like, I was just recently diagnosed with this, and I am struggling. We're changing some supplements and medications around, the timing, I have to play with it, so I don't know how I'm gonna act." And, uh, and he was like, "Okay, just let me know. Let me know how you're feeling. I'll check in on you." And then there were times too, I would go to him too and be like, "Hey, you know what? You don't seem like yourself. And I'm concerned. How can I help?" So you never know. So set here's one thing too is a lot of times there's so many of you guys that are listening in and most of my clients are like this are type A go-getters just ready to change the world. And a lot of times we take on so much. We set more than realistic goals. Okay. So figure out what can wait. Not everything has to be done right now. I've learned this even in my own home. I don't have to do all the dishes every single night. I can let the dishes sit. I don't have to do laundry complete, start to finish. I don't. Some weeks I live out of the baskets, and so do the kids. And there's nothing wrong with that. But it removes some of the stress. And you could do the same thing at work too. Not everything has to be done by you. Okay. I learned in the workplace, and a lot of my clients, they struggle with this too. They want to be seen as the people like, look at me. This is what I did. I'm capable of doing this. But what makes you a better leader and more up to level up is when you can teach other people to do that job. When you can hand over a task that maybe you don't even know a whole lot about either, or maybe you know a lot about and you could actually get it done really quickly, but when you hand it over to someone else, okay? If things at work are not likely to change and you're like, I can't, the options are nope, not existent, then you might need to look for a job that's a better fit for you. And if you need help with that, reach out for our career level up program, okay? I'm more than happy to help you with that. I've helped hundreds of clients over the years, okay? Another thing for handling the job burnout is seek support, okay? Ask coworkers, ask loved ones for support. Talking to others does help you cope, okay? Seriously, you might feel like verbal vomiting, but you know what? Talking to people who are, first of all, trusted. Make sure these people are trustworthy, that they're not going to go gossip or something like that. Okay. I think we've all had those experiences. So make sure that, okay, because feeling like you belong, it actually protects you against burnout. Okay. Some companies they do offer employee assistance programs. So if they do, take a look at those services, talk to HR. There's so many things within an organization that people don't utilize that are available to them. And there's nothing wrong with being the first person to use those programs or the only person. Okay. Your job is to make sure that you are okay. All right. And then just diving into some of the things that I practice with people in the program is try a relaxing activity. Again, all you type A's out there, you go getters, I love you dearly. I am one of you. Activities, you need to find slow moving activities. Okay. Deep breaths a few times a day can help relieve tension. Somatic exercises. Okay. Yoga, tai chi, things like that that can slow you down. Get out in nature, okay? Any kind of exercise, okay, that can help you cope with stress. Please don't do like high intensity. I don't encourage that because that just keeps you going high, 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 high. Slow down. But here's the thing too is if you do exercise, it actually takes your mind off of work or I've even found it's helped me solve problems better because I might be going for a run or I might be whatever the workout is for the day. And I'm like, oh, wait. Or if I'm doing one online and that says something, it triggers me. I'm like, oh, yes, yes, I got it now. Okay. Another thing is please sleep. It's so important. Whatever show is on is not important. Whatever is on your phone is not important. Okay. Staying up late and all the time is not important. I always say go to bed between 9 and 10, no later than 10, please. Okay. And another thing to help too is to practice mindfulness. And another way to say this, and I know the mindfulness has been thrown around for a while, but give yourself grace and compassion. And again, I say a lot of this stuff for myself. Okay. Be aware of what's going on around you without judging or reacting. And inside of you, a lot of you are dealing with complex traumas. A lot of you are dealing with substance abuse recovery. And it's a lot. Each thing that you do, look at as like a glimmer. Like, my goodness, I did that well today. I did that well. Or maybe I didn't do it well, but you know what? I've got tomorrow. And this practice can really help you deal with what's going on in your job. Okay. You can say, maybe it's with your kids. You can say, you know what? I just yelled my freaking head off. But you know what? I apologized. And I saw the difference in my kids' eyes because I apologized. Or you're at work and you got handed a hefty project and the deadline was 2 weeks from now and it got moved up a week. You could be like, my heart was racing, but you know what? I took some deep breaths and it didn't feel good, but you know what? I didn't have control over it. And I think I got this. I'm going to solicit some other help, right? Journaling is a big practice I encourage with this because it can help relieve some thoughts that are harming you. Okay. Keep writing. Writing is huge. It is so huge. And the thing is, you don't have to show it to anyone either. I save journals, but you know what? Sometimes I don't even look back at them because I just write and release it. Okay. So, take away from today. I know we talked about a lot. Okay. Keep an open mind as you think about different options for job stress, or as we call it, burnout. Ask for help, whether you're at home, whether you're at work, whether you're in volunteer work and nonprofit, whether you're in healthcare, whatever it is, ask for help. Okay. People love when you come to them like, you're really good at this. And I would love for you to help me with that. I mean, it's honoring, isn't it? Don't, I've had people say this to me over the years, but don't strip people of the gifts that they have because you choose to not ask for help. Don't strip them of that. We all have gifts to give people and give this world. Don't let people not be able to give you those gifts. Okay. That could actually be their way to relieve stress too. Okay. There are so many ways to overcome overcome burnout and protect your health. Many of the people, guys, that I see in my office are so close to burnout, or they're barely surviving each day and are just toast. Okay. They're great professionals, they're executives, things like that. They're great members of the community and of homes, but they're just like, I can't anymore. And looking at their labs and looking and talking to them, I know. Okay. And I hope this episode could give you a glimmer of hope and can help. And if you're tired of doing it on your own, or you don't have enough energy and you want to stop living tired and worn out every day, reach out for a call with me. It's free, there's no obligation. And I'll put that link in the show notes. And I'm going to put the link to my free ebook on the 10 ways to restore your adrenals from burnout that you can download. So until next time, keep on designing the best you.